welcome back, everyone. Tuesday, the 10th of March, 2026, and the boys are back in town. Richard, apparently, we've had a lover's tiff. We've fallen out. We're not speaking anymore, but here we are. We've kissed and made up.
No comment. We've apparently we're getting divorced. Which I never knew we got married. I'm not into that sort of thing myself, but
no, me neither. No, you never really been my type.
There's some weirdos out there, mate. Whatever they want to have in bouncing around. Listen, as long as we're living rent free in people's heads, I don't mind, Paul. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, cheers.
Exactly, Rich. Yeah, cheers. At the end of the day, it's better to have people talking about you and ignoring you, right?
Absolutely. Infamy. They've all got it in for me, as Kenneth Williams said in Carry On Caesar. Or Carry On Cleo, I should say. Carry On Cleo.
Carry On Cleo, yeah. Thanks. Infamy.
I love that. They've all got it in for me. as Bernard Cribbins. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
I am going to watch. Do you know what? I might even watch a Carry On film in bed tonight.
I'm going to watch Carry On Cleo. I'm going to watch Carry On Cleo.
I'm good, right, boys and girls, right? You're in early. There's nearly 600 people already watching. Grab a pen and paper, because I'm going to give you a little tip, right? Richard, have you got a pen and paper?
Yeah, somewhere. I mean, you haven't seen my office. It doesn't matter.
It's got nothing to do with the horses, right?
I remember.
If you go on YouTube and type in Cash on Demand, full movie starring Richard, starring Peter Cushing, right?
I thought you were going to tell something I didn't know there, Paul, that I'd started a movie.
It's a film, I believe it's a film that was made the year I was born. Cash on Demand, the full movie starring Peter Cushing. I guarantee it's one you can lay in bed and watch and you're going to enjoy it. It's an absolute cracker. I love the old black and white films. Richard, we got loads to talk about tonight, as usual. Not like we've never got nothing to talk about.
Do you know something, Paul? I'm just thinking, mate. You have a bit of the Peter Cushing about you, know.
Go on. I've been in a few horror films.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Paul. You know, Bride of Frankenstein, I think, was the one, wasn't it?
Oh, mate, don't even start me on that.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, no, I've definitely been through a few horror scenes, mate, in my life. Listen, loads to talk about. First of all, I got a message for two of my regular viewers. First of all, Michael in Ireland, I got your message earlier on. Thank you very much. I have left a message on your answer phone and I hope to be speaking to you soon. And the excellent row that was on the other night has caused quite a stir. A lot of people have been saying to me, Paul, can you get Row onto the show? Row, get in touch, my friend. I'd like to invite you on. If you don't want to appear on camera, what we'll do is we'll make you a faceless guest one evening. But so many people were impressed by your call the other night. So, Row, get back in touch and we'll get something sorted. Later on in the week, I'm hopefully going to be doing an unusual type of interview with the one and only Liam Galvin. A lot of people will know Liam, a great guy, one of my faves, a true gent. And I'm going to turn the tables on Liam. Liam's always interviewing other people. Well, this time it's going to be me interviewing Liam. I've got a load of really good questions for him, so I can't wait for that one. That is one to look forward to. Right, Richard, we got two main topics for this evening. One of them probably won't take a lot of working out. It is about the new so-called, we call them Islamophobia laws. That's not what they're actually called. A new definition of anti-Muslim hate. We're going to be talking about that later on, whilst we can. But first of all, like that's going to stop us, right? First of all, something that is very close to my heart and probably close to a lot of people's hearts that's going to be watching this now.
I don't have a heart, Paul, so don't worry about my heart, mate. It's all right.
Well, that is, you know what, Richard, I have often wondered, but yeah, listen, I'm going to take it for now that you are human and you have got a heart.
I have, mate.
Dogs, mate, dogs. Our, man's best friend. For me personally, and I can only speak for me personally, but I remember when I was very, very small, my first love of my life, my mum used to walk me home from school. I probably was about 5. And the local greengrocers had a white, one-eyed boxer dog, right? And I just fell in love with this dog. Every day on the way home from school, I would stop, it would slobber all over me. I would give it a cuddle. And I fell in love with it so much that my mum and dad took me out and surprised me and bought me my own boxer dog when I was about 5.
You were
And,
spoiled rotten, you Paul, weren't
oh,
you?
mate, she Mitzi, her name was, and she was my best friend, my very, very best friend. And ever since that day, I've always been a big, big dog man. Never been without a dog ever in my life. Now, the greens, I'm just going to put a picture up on screen, everyone. It's just in case there's any children watching. I don't want to frighten anyone. So this particular, it's not even gone 9 o'clock yet, is it? And I'm putting picture. I mean, look at that. Look.
That is straight out of one of those Hammer horror movies right there, Paul. That's a horror story, mate.
I mean, he'll never go skimp, will he? He could always haunt houses for a living, couldn't he? Look.
Teeth like a broken row of Guinness bottles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this particular gentleman, right, and his cohorts want to ban zoos, which I've got to be honest with you, I get. I'm not, I like a zoo and it's great for the kids, but I'm not so keen on the animals being in cages. But the big thing is the dog licenses. Now, on first sight, dog licenses, you could say, well, that's not a bad idea. There's plenty of bad dog owners. It's not the dogs that need the license, it's the people, right?
Yep.
But I don't think that's what's behind this. I think it's a lot more sinister. Because as far as I'm aware, at least, you might tell me different in the chat. You might tell me different, Richard. I wasn't aware that the Greens took such a big interest in dogs, but all of a sudden they are. I wonder why.
I wonder, Paul. I wonder. Any suggestions?
Well, I would say more than likely that, well, when you look at it this way, first of all, when you talk about a license, Richard, that means that you can refuse it, right? So a license is something you're allowed to have. It's not necessarily a right. Now, for me, this is the first steps towards areas potentially being no-go areas for our best friends. Parks, streets, towns, going further down the line, potentially cities.
Well, wasn't that one of the things that they were saying when they said the countryside was too white?
Yeah.
That they were saying there was too many dogs in the countryside, and that might offend a certain demographic.
Well, that's exactly it, Richard, isn't it? And we've all seen the notices in, that people have put up in some parks, dogs not welcome here, this is a Muslim area, etc. I've in the past, I've looked at those as people deliberately trying to wind other people up. But we all know the way the religion of peace looks at dogs and how they view them. They won't have them in their house. God, I don't want to come around my house. The bleeding thing sleeps in bed with us. I have to ask permission to get in.
It's a dog's life. It's a dog's life, Paul.
If he's in a bad mood, it's been known for me to sleep on the settee, but that's another story, right? But
I always thought it was when Mrs. T was in a bad mood, you ended up on the settee, Paul.
Live sobriety. Rottweilers are beautiful looking dogs and good natured.
Yeah.
They certainly are indeed. They don't want dogs because a dog will protect you unconditionally if you bought it out right. Absolutely they will. Absolutely they will. Genexa, Islam again, FFS, it's never ending. We're becoming 1979 with that Islamo left union. Yeah, I've got 2 dogs. Love it when they bark at illegals. Thank you very much for that. Let me just remove the comments for a moment. What's your views, Richard?
I think you bang on the money, Paul. I think I'd say it's probably coming from Mohin Ali, and he just doesn't want the man's best friend because it upsets his sensibilities, and I think that's exactly what it is. I think it's sickening, to be honest with you, Paul. I mean, people get so much comfort. Elderly people get comfort from dogs. A lot of people have guard dogs, like you were saying. And I've always loved dogs. I've never had a dog because my wife didn't like dogs, and my parents didn't like dogs. But my uncle always had Labradors, and I was like you, Paul. When I was a kid, I couldn't wait to go to my uncle's just to play with the dogs. He had 2 beautiful black Labradors, there were gun dogs, there were, and I've always loved dogs. And my daughter's got what's she got? She got a Staffy, and again, just a big, friendly, daft dog, and it's just part of the family. And so many families are like that. I can't believe that anyone would look at restricting dog ownership, Paul, and think that would be a vote winner.
Well,
I mean,
here's the thing, Richard. Here's the thing, right? I will be in favour of dog licensing if it was the people being licensed rather than the dog, or being licensed for a political reason. Now, what I'm trying to say is that I do see, just like there's bad parents, I see bad dog owners, and I see people that shouldn't bloody own them. They don't deserve to own them. I believe that a dog is a gift from God, right? I mean, if you look at the way the dogs are with their children, I mean, my grandchildren, our big Rottweiler is an absolute animal. He's a beast, right? But when my girls come round, mate, he's like a puppy with a bloody, unbelievable, and he protects them with their life. Now, when you look at what dogs offer people, lonely people on their own, they are, for me, the finest animals on earth, without bar none.
Yeah.
And to think that a political party could be considering trying to license them, in my opinion, so they can start to thin out and then refuse licenses in certain areas because they're not deemed as being in the good for community cohesion, etc., in keeping with the area. This is wrong on every level.
Oh, it's incredible. And look, at the end of the day, if you don't like dogs and you're in an area where there's loads of dogs, well, just leave. Just go. It's as simple as that, isn't it, Paul?
Mate, listen, at the end of the day, this is something that could actually unite the people of the country. But the problem is that the Greens will play this very cleverly, right? If we had a Green Party representative on now, they would say their line would be...
It's all about animal welfare.
It's all about animal welfare. Is it bollocks as far as I'm concerned?
Safety for people that are getting attacked by dogs, animal welfare, we don't want all these bad... And as with all these things, Paul, right? Anything that's to do with licensing or insurance or whatever it is, who gets hit the most with that? The working class. So basically, what it will be, rich people will be able to afford the licenses. No doubt, rich people won't live in areas where there's a large number of the preferred demographic, right? So basically, it's going to affect the working class, which all of these things do, Paul. And it's grim, mate. It's grim.
Well, again, money's involved. People that might not necessarily be able to afford a license, we don't even know how much it's going to be potentially. I mean, they could ask whatever they want for it, right? I mean, realistically, they probably wouldn't. But at the end of the day, I'm against this particular type of licensing for the reasons that I believe it's been put there for. Now, the other thing that I was going to say on this is that this will cause people... what I was going to say was the thing about the zoo. Now, zoos, I'm not a lover of zoos, right? I mean, look, I'm guilty of taking my grandchildren to zoos because they want to see the lions, the tigers, etc. And there are some animals in zoos that probably wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for the zoos, etc., etc. But in general, I've got to tell you, when I go to the zoo and I see gorillas in a cage, I see tigers in a cage, I don't like it. I think all animals should be free wherever possible, personally. And I think it's very clever that they've released these two at the same time because it all looks like it's about animal welfare. It's going to appeal to the young, the uni students, the girls, the young men. Oh, lovely, all about animal welfare, typical green policy. I think it's all bullshit.
What amazes me, Paul, more than anything else, is how anyone could vote for the Green Party. I mean, okay, we know they've captured the Islamist vote. We know that's going on, right? But the Islamists don't even agree with their policies because the policies are so wacko. Legalize every drug. I think they're legalizing prostitution, all sorts of trans stuff, all the crazy stuff, all the really far left crazy stuff. So the Islamists, and that's one of the things I was watching on Dan Wootton, and Dan Wootton was challenging them. The Islamists, they don't believe any of this stuff. And it's just purely about getting power. It's nothing else. It's just about getting power.
And to me, this will be another flex move, putting their stamp on society. My message to anyone out there that's come to this country, or even if they were born here and they come from another background, if you don't like our dogs, you can piss off, because at the end of the day, they're more welcome than anyone or anything as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, again, it's a cultural attack, Paul. It's a cultural attack. They've attacked the pubs. I don't think it's an accident that pubs are closing up and down the country, that because of taxation and all the rest of it. Okay, a lot of people are, staying at home and drinking at home if they want to have a drink. But there's a lot more to it than the pubs. It's when you talk to pub owners and people that have been in that trade, it's more and more difficult for those guys to make a living. You can't play ball with a goat. You can make a lovely curry with a goat, though.
Oh, come on.
Dear. And talking about goats, I'm not going to talk about them in that way, but talking about goats, I think 47% of lamb, sheep and goats that are slaughtered are now slaughtered halal. 47% in the UK. Now think about that. 47%, 21% of chickens are slaughtered halal, so...
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the chat here, Richard. It's coming in thick and fast. Richard, young people are voting green because they like cannabis being legalised. Well, look, they know how to do it, don't they?
True. Yeah, that's probably true.
Legalise cannabis, legalise this, that and the other. Let's become all animal friendly. Yeah, are they hellers like, right? And, you know what I mean? So they're very clever. They're very clever. Well, I say they're
not clever, Paul.
It's the people that vote for them are stupid.
We can't call voters stupid, Paul.
Well, if they vote green, I'm sorry.
I've always said if anyone's voting Green or Labour, or Lib Dem, they need to go and see a psychiatrist anyway. But that's another story.
Laurie, imagine moving to a foreign country because you hate everything about it.
Well, the thing is, Laurie, it's not. Well, they do hate everything about it, but they come in here not to take part, but to take over. I mean, they're coming here to change everything. That's what they've said. They've got a stated aim. They know what they're doing, and they know how they're going to do it. So, and we need to push back against it because, and that's what I think. That's what we really need to focus on now. We need to forget about anything else and focus on the big battle, which to me, Paul, is against the Islamization of the UK. It's the biggest threat that we're facing, bar none.
Absolutely. Ramesh says, Paul, mate, you keep flip-flopping. Have one opinion and stick to it. I've always had one opinion, Ramesh, always.
How are you flip-flopping?
I don't know, mate. Just chilling. My family have owned German Shepherds for 3 generations. I love my dogs. Licenses do not work. It will be used as a loophole to ban dogs. Exactly. That is my fear.
What it's all about.
My dog scares the majority until they speak to me and are introduced to my American Bulldog, who's very well cared for and trained, but unfortunately people just see a 6 foot, 18 stone of idiot and a big dog.
Very good.
Oh dear. Nanny, I have a disabled sister and her dog is like her baby. She won't let anyone touch her dog. Absolutely, they are members of our family. It's as simple as that. There is no other way of even talking about it. Charlie, thank you, Charlie. Hey, Paul, big love, brother, and love to you, Richard.
Thanks,
Jack,
Charlie.
Thank you, Jack. Surrey police have sent false charges at me, damn it. Wow, tell us all about that. What is that going on there? Charlie again, cheers, Charlie. Zach Plansky, jump, scare, alert, bloody creep. Yeah.
He is a creep, as always, like, isn't he?
We need that, what's that music, The Shining.
Oh, the one, The Omen. The Omen. Maybe it's the music from The Omen, Paul.
Yeah, The Omen. That is a
show me age there now.
That is a scary picture. Let me just get back there. Yorkshire Tea, thank you. For Rich, thank you for your Christian community. I asked for a prayer on Sunday night and was healed.
Wow.
Specific thanks to Trish, Shill and Lizzie, who acknowledged my prayer request. That's lovely, Richard.
Brilliant.
And Julie, thank you. They think they are banning my dog so they can FO. Yeah, absolutely, Julie.
Yep.
You and me both. Julie again, but banning dogs will cause riots. 67 breeds FO. Blimey, Richard, I nearly hit the end stream button then. That would have been weird, wouldn't
Well,
it?
that would have been very weird. It's the eject button, isn't it, Paul? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Let's have a little look in the chat. Ban halal meat. My dog has no nose. Right, Richard, on to the big topic of the evening. And if you want to carry on anyone about the dogs, if you've got any thoughts about that, this licensing of dogs and what it means, please pop it in the chat and I'll try and pick it up.
I don't know if you got time, Paul, but I've got a few videos that I grabbed earlier on. They're not. I don't think you get. Well, I'm pretty sure you won't get a copyright strike on any of them. Let me just see if I can find them, mate. If you want to play them, relating obviously to this situation that we've been looking at. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. Do you want to start with the videos, or what do you want to do, Paul?
I don't really mind, Richard. What are they?
Well, there's one by Claire Coutinho, which is very, very good. She's the Conservative MP that's been her and Nick Timothy. I mean, we all say we're all very partisan, and we're all saying this party, that party. See, for the Conservative Party, Claire Coutinho and Nick Timothy. Nobody's done more than those two MPs that fighting against this. So let me just see if I can get the right video here. I'll drop it.
Whilst you're finding them, a couple of rumours are. Well, I say rumours. They're not rumours. It's an actual fact. I've got someone that works at Gatwick Airport in a fairly senior position, and I spoke to them yesterday, and they told me, and this is true, this is not a rumour, that a number of pilots are taking early retirement, and a number of pilots are actually refusing to fly in certain areas at the moment, which is, attributing to this backlog that is slowly starting to kick in. Pilots and airline staff that get in the air are refusing to go on some routes, and pilots taking early retirement. Does that surprise you, Rich?
Not really. I mean, it's, if you look at the sort of flight paths over the Middle East, I mean, there's just nothing moving. I don't know if it's moving now, but a few days ago, there was just nothing moving apart from fighter jets and cruise missiles. I mean, it's certainly made all that very interesting. I mean, but obviously there's a lot of Brits stuck out there, isn't there? There's a lot of Brits stuck in the Middle East, and
a few magic carpets been shot down, I think.
There's been a few magic, there has, hasn't there? And I think there's another vacancy for Ayatollah as well, according to Tusi. I think the Ayatollah's had a touch, so that it's not the sort of job that you want to go for, is it? Who would want to be the Ayatollah in this weather?
Not really. Let me get this one. Justice Pat Riot says, how would they be able to ban dogs? Well, what it is, Justice, is if you license something, you can refuse the person applying for that license. You can refuse it, can't you? So it's not actually a ban on dogs. It will be a refusal of a license, which is something different. So, as I say, for me, this is backdoor. And, we're going to be talking about something else that's backdoor in a minute. And this is how it works. Go for it, Rich.
Yeah, do you want to play this video, Paul? Yeah. Okay.
It's
in there, mate. Yeah, it's in there.
Let's get in.
Go for it.
Has finally released its state-sponsored definition of Islamophobia. This is for use in our public sector, our schools, our councils, our hospitals. What it won't do is reduce violence or hatred that people experience in public. But what it may do is undermine free speech and that vital concept that we are all equal before the law. This won't help any of us, least of all moderate Muslims. All it will do is breed resentment that one group is put on a pedestal above everybody else. In the last few weeks, we've seen rising sectarianism and ethno-nationalism in this country. That means we've got to hold on even more firmly to the fact that we are all equal before the law, whether that's for penalty or for privilege. The risk is this Islamophobia definition and appointing a separate Islamophobia SAR will undermine that fundamental British principle. If you agree, share this video and tell your Labour MP to drop this dangerous and divisive definition.
Yeah, I mean, good video that.
She's excellent. I mean, this is the thing. When you look at what her and Nick Timothy are doing, there's a couple of other. I think Danny Kruger, when he was in the Conservative Party, he was involved with them as well, and they were kind of really pushing hard against this, and I think that's where we've got to say there are some good MPs. Everyone says, "Oh, they're all get everybody out of Parliament." Well, there actually are some good MPs. My local MP's fantastic fella. I mean, he's really, really good lad, friend of mine. So I think we've got to be careful damning all MPs. But what she's saying is absolutely right. If you can, this is what you can do. I mean, people say we can't do anything. If you write to your local Labour MP, he might ignore the letter. But the very fact of you writing means that you're doing something. Thankfully, I don't have a Labour MP within 100. Maybe it's 150 miles of me. But if you're unlucky enough to have a Labour MP, pester the life out of them, make sure that they're standing against this definition. Well, they're not going to stand against the definition, but make sure you make them aware that they're going to be losing your vote at the next election. And that's really all we can do at the minute, Paul, because the Labour majority is so big.
Yeah, I mean, the dog issue is, definitely close to people's hearts. You can see in the chat there. I want to read this, Richard. It was, forgive me for repeating this, it was in The Guardian, actually, and I chose The Guardian because you're going to get a slightly watered-down version. And it says, a new definition of anti-Islam hate will not restrict freedom of speech. The community secretary has pledged, as he said, that clear expectations will still be set for new arrivals and existing communities in Britain to learn English. They've done well on that in the past, haven't they?
Haven't they?
MPs were told by Steve Reid that the government had a duty to act against record levels of hate crime against Muslims, but that you can't tackle a problem if you can't describe it. And I've got some great stats on something later on. To counterbalance that, he was updating Parliament on Monday on the new non-statutory definition for anti-Islam hate, which was unveiled alongside a wider strategy on social cohesion. The 3-paragraph definition, released alongside the longer document, does not include a reference to race, which is understood to have been a focus of considerable debate among the 5-member working group of experts. I wonder who they were.
I can tell you.
Good job I weren't drinking me tea then when I read that. Set up to provide the government with the working definition. Reid told the Commons, today we are adopting a non-statutory definition of anti-Muslim hostility. This gives a clear explanation. Remember that word? A clear explanation?
Yep.
A clear explanation of unacceptable prejudice, discrimination and hatred targeting Muslims so we can take action to stop it. Now, on that note, we'll have a little look at the definition or what's in the new definition of anti-Muslim hostility. Stop me whenever you like. Anti-Muslim hostility is intentionally engaging.
Sorry, Paul. Can I stop?
Yes,
yes. I've actually got. Do you want me to put that on the screen, mate? Because I've got the image here.
If people can read it, let's have a little look. I'll read it out anyway.
Yeah.
Anti-Muslim hostility is intentionally engaging in, assisting, or encouraging criminal acts, already covered in other laws. Including acts of violence, already covered, vandalism, already covered, harassment or intimidation, already covered, whether physical, verbal, written or electronically communicated, already covered and already ignored, especially if you're British, white British, that are directed at Muslims because of their religion or at those who are perceived to be Muslim, including where that perception is based on assumptions about ethnicity, race, or appearance.
Can I just stop you there, Paul, on
sure.
that? Because, I think, here's the thing, right? It is wrong to discriminate against anyone because of their religion, whether they're a Muslim, a Jew, a Hindu, or whatever, right? It's wrong to yeah, exactly. So, but the point is, why is this necessary? Everybody knows that it's not right. If you're a decent human being, you know it's not right to attack someone because of their ethnic background. I mean, we've been to our demos, Paul, where there's thousands of us there waving Union Jacks, and a little Muslim family will walk past. Nobody says boo to them.
Not a
right?
word.
Nobody says boo, right? And of course, we've had Muslims come to our events and speak at our events and so on and so forth. So why do they need to do this? I don't see this. I just don't see this so-called anti-Muslim hate.
Richard,
and I think,
can I tell you something? What you just said there a minute ago was a magnificent example, and I'm going to give you the best example that I will ever remember on those United Kingdom demos. I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, I was walking down the road, and there was thousands upon thousands of us, right? And across over to my right-hand side, two women walked across from the other side of the road wearing a full face veil, right? I thought, Jesus, I hope no one says anything to these women because that's not a good look, right? It'll be bang out of order. 2 women on their own, thousands of people. That would be plain wrong. Nobody said a single word, not a word, not even a. Honestly, Richard. In fact, I think if anyone had said anything to them, the crowd would have actually protected them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we had that with when Avi Yemeni. I was walking up to the stage, and Avi Yemeni wasn't walking with me, but he was just in front of me, and these lads started sticking out an Avi, and the rest of the crowd just turned on them, because they were being anti-Semitic towards Avi. Paul, I've got a little image here of one of the most recent terror suspects to be I think arrested, charged, and sent to prison. I don't know if you can just see it there. It says it's just the JPEG there. Yeah. Does he fit the racial stereotype? I mean, he these Aryan flipping jihadists, you know what I mean? The Aryan jihadists. It's just it's
Why
shocking.
have they always got the ginger beard, Richard?
Well, listen, don't you be starting on ginger people, right? Because my grandson's ginger, okay?
Just don't let him grow a beard.
Well, no, it's not the beard. It's when they shave the top lip, mate. If they shave the top lip, that's when you know you're in real bother. You know what I mean?
That's what it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Get rid of him. Get him out the frame.
No, I'll tell you what, I won't go through the rest of this. I mean, it's only 3 paragraphs long, but you get the drift, right? Now, here's the interesting bit. Here's the really interesting bit. So why is it being introduced? Now, I've got these stats from different places, but they're all reliable as far as I'm aware. They're pretty much fact checks. And it says hatred against Muslim communities peaked at record levels, with hate crimes rising by almost a fifth in the year ending March 2025. With 3,199 offences. Well, let's be honest, right? You know what they're like. They'll report anything. If you criticise them, their God, their book, their whatever, they're on the phone, right? So how many of those 3,199 offences were actually what you would call proper offences?
Well, exactly.
But this is the interesting bit. Jewish people face the highest rate of crimes, according to the government's own data, almost 9 times as likely to be a victim of a hate crime, whilst making up less than 500,000 of the population. Now, there are said to be around 4 million Muslims living in the country.
Yeah, right.
So 3.5 million more Muslims, yet the Jews... 3.5 more Muslims than Jews in the UK, yet they're 9 times less likely to be a victim of hate or religious crime.
Tells you everything you need to know.
So where is the problem?
Well, I think we know where the problem is, Paul.
9 times, let me repeat that, 9 times less likely to be a victim of a hate or religious crime than if you're Jewish.
Well, the other thing is, Paul, I think those figures on the numbers of Muslims, right? I think Diane Abacus has been doing the counting. Because if there's only 3.5 million Muslims in the UK, well then, I don't know what it is I'm seeing. I mean, maybe these are just people pretending to be Muslims.
They reckon 4 million, Richard.
I reckon 10. I reckon 10.
It could be, yeah. It could be. Could be as much as 10, yeah. I don't think you'd be far out, to be honest with you.
Because, who's counting? I mean, who's counting?
Mate, I tell you what, I mean, they're not counting, every day they're coming through, aren't they? So at the end of the day, I think, could it be 10 million? I think you could be right.
I think so. I think it's the bigger, it's the biggest threat we're facing, Paul, without a shadow of a doubt. Obviously, we've got the communists. We can deal with them electorally. How can you deal with people that genuinely, let's say there's only 4 million, right? Well, 32% of that 4 million want Sharia law. That's a very, very sizable number of people in this country that want a law that's totally alien and totally different to everything that we believe in. Now, one of the good things is, Paul, we can now talk about this. literally six months ago, and that's thanks to Elon Musk, we can talk about this sort of stuff now because the shackles have been loosened slightly because of Musk and because of Trump. The shackles on YouTube and Facebook and X have been loosened so that we can actually discuss these things openly without being banned and losing our channels and all the rest of it. But that could change very quickly with this definition. That's the biggest worry I've got, Paul. This isn't something that's going to get you arrested for standing in the street and saying Islam is evil, right? You can say that, it's a religious position. I say it all the time. But what it will do, it will get you censored on social media again because they'll just start threatening the social media companies because it's a definition.
This is the big question. I mean, let me read the bottom paragraph. It says it is encouraging in unlawful discrimination. Now, here's the thing, Richard. Who defines this?
Yeah.
It is engaging in unlawful discrimination where the relevant conduct, including the creation or use of practices and biases, what do I mean by biases, within institutions is intended to disadvantage Muslims in public and economic life. Now, I don't see anything in this document, right, that isn't already covered by law, isn't already covered by common decency, isn't covered by general rules in the street, if you like. We all know that if you go up to someone in the street and abuse them, you're likely to get a smack in the mouth, right? At the end of the day, and if it's worse than that, the police get called and you can get nicked. And if you're violent, you get nicked. If you're a vandal, it's talking about vandalism, criminal acts, harassment, intimidation. All these things are already covered in law and also under the Equality Act of 2010, right? So the part that worries me here, Richard, and I think should worry everyone else, is that who decides when this becomes illegal? Where does the scales tip from being just banter or a row or a bit of a debate to something being abusive and illegal?
Well, let's look at the political side of it, Paul, right? And let's put all party differences aside. Let's look at Advance UK, let's look at UKIP, and let's look at Restore, right? All parties that would have policies that we would be in agreement with on Islam, right? So Restore Britain have said they want to ban halal, right? Advance have said they want to ban the face veil and stop people swearing on the Quran in Parliament, right? So this is how mischievous these people could be, right? So you could get an Islamist, right, joining Advance and then suing Advance because Advance has policies that they deem to be discriminatory against their religion and against their faith, right? So, so where does this stop? It's exactly the same on social media. It's exactly the same on any group that's organising against the Islamization of the UK. So this is where it gets very, very sinister. So this is the first step along the road as well, Paul. So a definition. Since when? Here's another thing. I was thinking about this and nobody's really picked up on this. Since when was it the government's job to define language?
Yeah.
Why do we need a definition? And they changed it from Islamophobia because Islamophobia, the word Islamophobia was electorally about as popular as a cup of cold sick, right? Nobody's going to vote for a party that's pushing Islamophobia laws. But this is what Starmer's trying to claw back the Muslim vote. But you know what, Paul? I don't think he's going to get it back.
No, I think they've flexed their muscles. I think they've flexed their muscles and they don't need daddy anymore, So I think that's where we're at. Let me read a couple of these out, Julie. Thank you, Julie. Going for our dogs is like attacking our kids. This is down to Islam. They can't gaslight the public on this.
Of course it is.
Will wake a lot more people up. And I've got a message here from an old friend of mine, Kelly, out there in the US. Kelly, thank you so much. Lovely to see you in the chat there. Hope you are both well. Long time no see. Where was we the last time we saw each other? I think that would have been in Miami, if my memory serves me correctly. The Real Bobby's Girl. Thank you, Paul Richard. Have you read the Scouts website?
It's true. This is true. It's laughable, but it's true.
Oh.
Dib, dob, alhamdulillah.
Paul Richard, have you read the Scouts website advising Scouts how they can earn their Islamophobia badge? It's absolutely shocking. Yeah, apparently now if you're a Scout, you're advised to, what is it, go to a mosque, learn a prayer, listen to the call of prayer. I don't know.
It's absolutely, I'm laughing about it, but it's absolutely disgusting, Paul. And this is an attack on our institutions. So the Islamists are doing exactly what the communists have done. They're learning from the communist playbook. They're trying to infiltrate every single institution. Yeah. And this is the real battle, right? It's nothing else. The real battle that we're facing over the next 10 years, I get the demographic thing. Let's put that to one side for a while, right? The real battle that we're facing is against Islamists trying to take over our country.
Islamists and communists.
Well, the communists have already got it. The communists are in power, They've been in power for years. They've been in power since Blair, and they haven't let go of power. But this is an Islamist insurrection, and they're using democracy to destroy democracy, as are the communists. Both groups are using democracy to destroy democracy. And that's why, dare I say it, we all need to find a way of uniting, okay? We all need to find a way of coming together to fight against this.
I think that message, Richard, has been spreading a lot this week. We'll leave it at that for the moment.
Yeah.
You know what? This for me is death by 1,000 cuts. This is what it's all about. Julie, again, thank you, Julie. One thing to say on New Paper: big FO going to backfire.
Yeah.
I have to be quick with you, Julie, because that to backfire there got me thinking for a minute. I didn't quite get it, but I got it just in time for reading it out. Yorkshire Tea. Why do some Christians say Zionism is anti-Christian? It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. And I mean, if anyone has read the Bible even in a cursory manner, they'll see that the land of Israel is promised to the Jewish people in the Bible. So if you're a Christian and you believe the Bible, I don't know how you can be a Christian and not be a Zionist. Now, there's a difference between, salvation and a promise of a geographical land that God gave to a certain group of people, and it's the only eternal promise of land to any people in the Bible. England isn't promised to the English, Scotland's not promised to the Scottish in the Bible. It's literally Israel is promised to the Hebrews, the Jews, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And you find that in Genesis, and then you find it right the way through the Old Testament, and even into the New Testament in the book of Romans. So I can't understand how anybody can be a Christian and hate Jews.
Jane, I got my Maltese just after I had a cancer diagnosis. She's now 12. She's part of my step of faith. We're both still here 12 years later. Praise God. Lovely.
Do you know,
nice
Jane comes on my channel all the time, an absolute rock solid supporter and person, absolutely great person, Jane. And again, thanks for all that you've done and said on my channel. It's been really appreciated.
English Meadows, non-police horses at a protest in Manchester a couple of days ago. Yeah, I saw that.
Is that genuine? Was that genuine footage?
Yeah, I know the person that took the film.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was one of our. Yeah. Okay. Well, that is incredible. They had Sharia patrol on their arms, didn't they, when they were riding the horses? Wow.
I know the person. In fact, let me hold on one second, Richard. I've got my phone here. My granddaughter's in big trouble. I've messaged her earlier and she's not rung me back yet, so she's going to be getting a telling off later on. Let me just see if I've still got that film. I think it's been shown quite a bit now. Most people have probably seen it, to be fair. But yes, definitely riding around on horseback, and the police asking them quietly to, very politely to move along. Unbelievable.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. When I saw that, I thought, there was something like that down in Dublin where a couple of the protesters were on horseback in Dublin a few months ago, but that's Dublin,
Yeah.
And they weren't Islamists, they were Irishmen, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the Irish and their horses are
exactly.
They're one and the same. The Irish love their horses, and you would expect that. Alison, there's no Sharia courts in the UK. It's actually Sharia council courts. So the UK law rules over all.
Well, I think I think that's debatable.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I know,
Alison, technically you're right.
technically it's correct, but in the communities, we know who rules the roost and
Yeah.
what's happening and who's making the rules and who's obeying. It's really about who they're being obedient to, and
Yeah.
they're being obedient to the tribal system, the battery system. You know, it's a very, very tight network. Put it that way. It's a mafia type network, and that's what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking through the chat, Richard. Let's play one of these. You popped in two videos there.
If you play the one, well, actually, both of them are worth listening to, Paul. If you want to know about Dominic Grieve, who is, and this is a very interesting video about Dominic Grieve. Dominic Grieve is, as far as I know, the chair of the all-party Islamophobia group, or whatever they call it now. It's obviously not called Islamophobia now anymore, because that's not a word that anybody wants to use. But if you play that one there, Paul, the Dominic Grieve one, and then the other one, they're both worth listening to. Now, the guy that's talking advises the Free Speech Union on this specific issue. So he's an expert on this, guy called David Rose, not David Rhodes, David Rose, and definitely worth listening to. So just pop that up on the screen, Paul, because people will learn something from this, and they'll learn about who Dominic... The Dominic Grieve, sorry, the first one there, Paul, the first one, mate. Yeah.
In the period from about 9/11 onwards till about 2013, made a number of statements which were highly critical of Muslims. They were frankly at times bordering on racist. He talked about the corruption, political corruption among Muslims in his own constituency, which he suggested were because these people were of Pakistani heritage. He gave an interview in which he said that while he had met many charming people who happened to be Muslims, nevertheless he believed that many Muslims were trying to change Britain in ways that were fundamentally inimical to a pluralist democracy and freedom of expression. And he said it was vital to defend these historic rights. And he singled out freedom of expression in those earlier statements. And then suddenly he pops up in 2018. He wrote the foreword to the APPG report in 2018. What had changed? I think it's interesting that in 2017, he had been asked to chair what was called a Citizens Commission on British Muslims. It produced a report which talked about the problems of Islamophobia and discrimination and so forth. One of his key advisors was the then chair of the Muslim Council of Britain, an organisation which successive governments since 2009 have had an official non-engagement policy with, because it has included in very senior positions people who have openly supported terrorism, for example, Hamas. He had other individuals from another organisation called Muslim Engagement and Development, MEND. Again, MEND had a period when it seemed quite respectable, and then it began to be clear that it had close links with jihadists. One of its key officials had gone off to become policy director of CAGE, the terrorist support organisation. They say they support Muslim political prisoners. Well, they support Muslim terrorists or families thereof. There was Grieve taking advice from these people. One of them was the convener or chair of the Welsh branch of MEND. At the same time as she was advising Dominic Grieve, she was posting on social media how the 2017 London Bridge terrorist attacker who murdered 11 people was actually backed secretly by various Jews and Zionists. I mean, really extraordinary anti-Semitic conspiracy theory stuff. Those are the people that Grieve suddenly finds himself consulting. Now, I spoke to Grieve before I wrote this FSU briefing, and I said, surely your views have changed fundamentally. He maintained, no, I haven't changed my views. The linking thread is I want to end the sort of sense of alienation that some Muslims feel. Well, I invite people to look at what he wrote then, and you'll find all the footnotes in my briefing. I suggest that there is a deep contradiction. So he convenes this group. It's extraordinary that it's got such a narrow range of opinions. You would think that maybe if he wanted to have a group that would really reflect whether there was a need for a definition at all, he would have had people such as Fayez Mogul. He would have had Muslims who were critical of the concept of definition. But no, he didn't.
So that in itself tells everything you need to know about this all-party group. And I did the consultation. You could go online and do the consultation. I'd advise anyone, if any of these consultations come up and you can actually have a say, just go on and have a say, because even though we're just members of Joe Public, it will have a tiny, tiny bit of influence, but it's still worth, getting a swarm of us onto these consultations when these things come up for consultation, and you just go in and fill in an online form. And the consultation was so weighted in favour of having an Islamophobia definition that was acceptable to extremist Islamists. That I was, some of the questions were just laughable. I can't remember them all now, but I remember doing it, just thinking, like, what's the point in doing this? But there is point in doing it, because at least then we have an idea of what's going on and what the inner workings of Parliament are, even though we're just little minions, little cogs in the wheel. But, so the whole thing is loaded against non-Muslims, absolutely loaded against non-Muslims. And it is this slippery slope, because once they've done this, Paul, when they get into power, not when they get into power, but when they get into a position where they're sharing power, possibly. I mean, they think there could be up to 25 Islamist MPs in the next Parliament.
Yeah.
Now you think about that. When there was a hung Parliament around the time of Brexit, and it's happened a few times, the Ulster Unionists, I think, had between them, the DUP and the Ulster Unionists, I think they had about 10 or 12 MPs, right? So they actually held the balance of power, and they could say yes or no to legislation. Now, if you've got a block of 25 MPs sitting in Parliament and they're all Islamists, well, if you've got the Conservative Party with a narrow majority, which is very likely, or the Greens with a narrow majority, cobbled together with the SNP and a few other so-called progressive parties, that Islamist bloc will be able to absolutely dictate terms to the other parliamentarians and literally tell them what they want and what they want to happen. So, I mean, I think we're in very dangerous territory, and we need to find a way of winning that next election in a massive way. That's what we've got to do. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, because I'm done with all that, but we need to find a way of winning.
Ty Steve, FFS, when I was at Scouts, we used to sing Onward Christian Soldiers on a Sunday after dog walking. Imagine that now. Michael Ellis, thank you, Michael. Everything in the new anti-Muslim hate law is already illegal. I fear there's skullduggery afoot. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? And the thing is, Michael and Richard, the bottom line is this, right? Is that who decides what fits under that description? When they use the word hostility, engaging, intentionally engaging, assisting, encouraging, what does all this mean?
Well, we're going to find out soon enough, aren't we, Paul? That's for sure.
What does it mean?
Well, it's like I think it was, I'm not sure it was on the morning show the other night when I was doing a show. And do you remember the wee lad that got sent to prison? And I think he was in Brighton, Paul. He threw a bacon butty at the mosque. Do you remember? Little bunny, young gay lad.
Yeah.
Died in prison mysteriously. Whether he was getting bullied and committed suicide, or whether he was murdered. Well, I think it was an open verdict, wasn't it? But and that was before any of this legislation came in, Paul. In fact, that was under a Conservative government. That's how captured the CPS was even then, Paul.
Yeah.
So under a Conservative government, a young lad, I can't remember whether he'd been on the beer or what happened, who threw a bacon sandwich at a mosque. I think he got 18 months in prison, right? Under a Conservative government. So the CPS was already captured by Islamists and communists then.
What do you think you would get for throwing a brick at a church, Richard?
Oh, I'm sure you'd probably get some. If you were in the Scouts, I'm sure you'd get your anti-Islamophobia badge.
No, but it's just a serious question. If you was to run past the church tonight and throw a brick through the window, do you think you'd go to prison?
Would the police even try and track you down?
No.
Would they even come looking for you? And I very much doubt you get prison.
And that young man, just like someone else, Peter Lynch, God rest his soul, went to prison, and neither of them came out alive.
That's the point.
So a life sentence for throwing a bacon sandwich.
Well, a death sentence, Paul. A death sentence.
A death sentence for throwing a bacon sandwich, and a death sentence
for saying I'm praying for you.
Pray for my children.
Yeah, I'm praying for my children. And like I can't remember the fellow's name. Shamefully, I can't remember the fellow's name. But the big train driver that went to Downing Street and just said, "Who the F is Alan?"
Yeah. He come from Sutton, where I used to live.
Yeah. And his wife was disabled. And the Islamists, I can't remember which one it was. It could have even been. I can't remember, one of the Islamists, I think it was Akunji. It was Muhammad Akunji, said, well, I'm sure he'll be reminded of that every day while he's in prison. We know exactly what they meant by that.
And what was his name? The Sky presenter, Peter, someone or other.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. He said the same, didn't he? Yeah.
He said the same. He said
Yep.
that these people
Yep.
will cop it when they're in prison,
Yep.
right? And some of them did cop it.
Yep.
And the ones that didn't will have lived their lives in fear. Now, I would say to anyone that is against what we've been talking about tonight, that thinks we're just, anti-Islam, anti-Muslim, etc. Think about what we've just been speaking about just then. We've spoken about 3 people, 2 of whom never came out of prison. Their sum total of criminality was to throw a sandwich, was to say, I'm praying for my children, and the other guy sung a silly song.
Yeah.
Two death sentences, and I don't know how many years the other guy got, but he got quite a hefty sentence for it, didn't he? Now, you tell me that we don't have the right to wonder what this new definition is going to be about, what it's going to mean, what it's potentially going to do to some people, and what these ambiguous words mean. Hostility, engaging in, assisting, harassment, written, electronically communicate. These are all terms. What do they mean? How are they going to define them? What is already not there, covered under the Equality Act of 2010? This is absolute bullshit.
And Paul, this definition is one step away from passing what are basically blasphemy laws.
Blasphemy laws.
And there's a chill, because obviously it's talking about employment law as well. It's talking about, so, you imagine, okay, let's just have a hypothetical. I mean, it would never happen in the UK, but let's just say some crazy jihadist straps a bomb to himself and blows up 27 kids at a concert. Don't think it would ever happen in the UK, Paul, but let's just say it hypothetically, right? And then some guy goes into work the next day and goes, see what those Muslim blanks did yesterday. And all of a sudden he's hauled before a tribunal, or he's hauled before, and he probably would be anyway, even without this definition. But what the definition is going to do is going to cement that, because he could, in mitigation, if he was hauled before the bosses, he could say, well, look, it was a Muslim that did it, and that's why I'm saying it. But that plea's going to go with this definition, because how dare you associate this with this terrorist act with Islam? And the fact that 90% of terrorist attacks in the UK, I think, in the past 20 years have been Islamist inspired, has nothing to do with it,
And here's the other thing, Richard, and this is where it gets even more frightening, right? Is that if you was charged with that crime and you pleaded not guilty, where the hell would you get a fair trial these days?
Well, exactly.
Where do you get a fair trial?
Well, you're not going to get a jury trial, are you? That's the other thing that we're looking at,
Well,
but then again, would you want a jury trial if it was in Tower Hamlets?
Well, that's what I'm saying, Richard. How do you get a fair trial?
Yeah.
How do you get a fair trial? Cheers, Gladys. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Do you know what's depressing, Paul? Normally, when we come on these chats, I'm all bouncy and going, oh well, we've got a solution. I can't even say that at the minute. I can't even say that. I'm not going to say any more, but I just the way things are, I cannot say, oh well, do this, this, and this, But to me, this is what we've got to focus on, Paul. We've got to focus on the Islam issue. This is the biggest threat. Nothing else. This is the massive, massive threat. And anyone that isn't realising that this is the biggest threat that our nation's facing, then they shouldn't be in this game. They shouldn't be doing it.
And this is the other one the other day. Great point from Noodle Niger. Great gang national inquiry now, please. I mean, we saw the bones of that the other night, didn't we? About it's not going to talk about race, not going to talk about religion, not going to talk about ethnicity. I mean, what's the fucking point?
It's a complete whitewash, Paul. It's absolutely disgusting, and we've got to get this government out. This is the most pressing thing: is getting this government out and getting a right-wing government in that will actually start doing stuff about it. And I don't care what shade rosette they're wearing. We just need to get this government out and make sure these progressives do not win the next election. But that's going to take a monumental effort.
Yeah. I was watching, oh, blimey, what's his name? What is his name? He's a young fella in his 30s, 40s, played a great video yesterday.
That narrows it down, Paul. I'm there, mate.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking out loud, Richard, which often gets me
Come on.
trouble.
Oh, me and you both.
Oh yeah, don't think out loud, Richard.
No.
For God's sake.
No, I'm not allowed to do that anymore, mate. I'm under strict instructions of what to say and what not to say.
I can't think of his name. It's gone out of my mind, but he was showing a video where the police were threatening to arrest the man, waving a flag, saying "send them back," right? And that's all he was saying was "send them back," and they threatened to arrest him for that. Meanwhile, when you see what else applies on the streets, call for jihad, call for intifada, death to the IDF, burning our flag, all those sorts of things. I mean, the police, to be honest with you, mate, at the end of the day, they've lost everyone. Have they not lost everyone by now?
Well, I think so, Paul. I think policing now, it's been so politicized. And, I used to say, oh, there's some good coppers. And that still is true, right? But they're getting less and less, mate. They're getting less and less. The way some of the policing I've seen, not so much on our demos, because our demos, we have it pretty much wrapped up because we know what we're doing. But when things get out of hand, it's only going one way, Paul, as far as I can see. They're not pushing back against the left or against the Islamists. They're pushing back against patriots, And, it's sorry, guys, there's not much good news tonight. We're not coming here with a. But I think the reason we've got to do this, Paul, right? We've got to say we need to sort this out.
Yeah.
There
we go. Breaking news here. The only CalMac. Breaking news, Paul. MPs have just voted a motion in Parliament scrapping jury trials.
Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
Wow.
There's actually, hang on, Paul, I've actually got Toby Young talking about that. If you want to have a look, find it.
Yeah, the copper soon backed down when he was confronted with the facts. Yeah, absolutely. Now, it wasn't AY or Andy. Someone will tell me in the chat.
Might be worth playing that video, Paul. That's Toby Young talking about the jury trials, mate.
Let's have a little look.
The last one I've just dropped in there.
The most authoritarian thing the government has done to date, and it's a pretty high bar. The government is going to scrap the right to trial by jury. That's a right that dates back to the Magna Carta 800 years ago. The right to a trial by jury is an important bulwark of English liberty, but it's a particularly important safeguard of the right to free speech. We've done some research at the Free Speech Union and found that when it comes to speech offences, people are much more likely to be acquitted, to be found not guilty by juries than they are by magistrates or judges. One particular case in point is Jamie Michael, former Royal Marine, accused of stirring up racial hatred because of a 12-minute video he'd posted on Facebook encouraging people to protest against illegal immigration. It was a ludicrous charge, but nevertheless he was prosecuted. There was a jury trial. He pleaded not guilty. It took that jury all of 17 minutes to unanimously acquit him. Had it just been a judge, I'm not sure he would have been acquitted. If you care about the right to trial by jury, if you care about free speech, go to our website, sign our petition. You can either click on the link below, the link in our bio, or go to www.saveourjuries.co.uk.
Incredible.
Incredible. And I think, I don't know if you're in the Free Speech Union, Paul. I joined the Free Speech Union a few months ago. Join the Free Speech Union. It's, what is it, 40 quid a year or something like that? Is it 40 quid a year?
I'm not sure. I thought it was less.
Maybe it's not even. Maybe it's not even. Maybe it's not even. Maybe it's a tenner a year. Yeah. But look, it's worth every penny because if you get into this sort of hot water, they're gonna take the case, and they've taken thousands of cases as far as I know, Paul. I mean, they've been at it full tilt. So definitely join the Free Speech Union. We need to be pushing. Freedom is just as important as deportation, right? Freedom of speech. Freedom of conscience is just as important as getting these people out of the country, Yeah,
Richard, I'm not ignoring you there, mate. I'm going through the chat.
No, you are ignoring me, Paul, but it's all right. I can keep talking, mate. Don't.
You just keep
You're
talking,
just getting old, mate. You can't do two things at once. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it is, mate. Islamophobia, detention, and no jury.
I mean, look, it's if people aren't looking at this and going, what the heck's going on? I mean, we've betrayed our most important ally. You know, Keir Starmer betrayed our most important ally, and I know there's a lot of people saying, why are we going to war in Iran? I'm not sure if we covered this the other night, Paul. I can't remember. I think it all got too hot under the collar for us to cover anything much. But the war in Iran, to me, out of all the wars that's happened in the past, probably since the Second World War, it's probably the most just war. And I'll tell you why. Because Iran were literally, and this isn't BS, because I've been looking at this for years. Iran were weeks away from getting a nuclear weapon. They have enough enriched uranium hidden somewhere under some mountain somewhere to create 10 nuclear weapons.
Yeah,
and they're making ballistic missiles like it's going out of fashion. So, you know,
Richard, it's not just that, is it? At the end of the day, Iran has sponsored terrorism across the world now for years and years and years. And I know a lot of people had the jitters after Afghanistan, Libya. And the last lot of weapons of mass destruction that were never in existence. I know people have not got over that yet, but this is different.
It is different. It is different.
And at the end of the day, for Starmer to turn his back on America,
to deny them bases to refuel.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just beyond comprehension. It's more than deplorable, Richard. It's fucking disgusting.
It is.
These are our best allies in the world.
Yep.
Without bar none, they're our best allies.
Every major conflict that there's been, since the First World War, Britain, as far as I know, there might be a couple that I've missed, but as far as I can see, every major conflict, apart from Suez, Britain and America have been involved in it together. And it's very bad. And again, I do worry about people on the right not understanding why it's important to support America and Israel and what they're trying to do. I do worry about that, because to me, it's a nuclear armed Iran isn't just a threat to Israel, which it is. It's a threat to everything in the Middle East and Europe, because they're building missiles now, Paul, that they reckon could reach London, and.
Yeah, I was watching that the other day, and that's about the price I thought it was, the Free Speech Union. Yeah, it's about right,
okay,
Jackie. I think, 30 quid a year, $29.95.
I think I got it cheap because I'm a veteran, so I'm not sure what the full price is.
I don't think they have the capability of reaching London without doing a lot more work on the logistics. In other words, they've got the weapons, they got the technology, or let's put it this way, there's two parts to a missile, right? There's the bottom part, like a bullet, there's the actual shell, the casing, and then the bullet. Now, my understanding is that they've got the bullet that could reach London, and they've got the shell that could reach London, but they haven't got a bullet and a shell that will go together.
Yeah.
In layman's terms,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very simple way of putting it, but that's my understanding of it from someone that really gets this stuff.
The truth is, though, Paul, the reality is we don't know, do we? That's the thing.
Well,
and is it a chance worth taking? What we do know is they can hit Cyprus.
Look, Richard, at the end of the day, dude, let's be honest, right? And I'm not trying to frighten people when I say this, but do they even need to be launching bombs towards London when they can unleash any one of thousands of sleeper cells that are already living here?
Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of, there's talk about biological, there's all sorts of stuff. And they've got a track record for it. They've got a track record for it, Paul. It's not like they haven't done this. They tried to assassinate Trump. Was it twice or three times? They, remember the bombing in Beirut in 1984, where was it 400 Marines were killed?
Yeah.
That was way before Al Qaeda, way before anybody was even thinking about jihad in the West.
Do you know, I was telling my wife, Richard, the other day, and I've almost forgotten all about this. Right, when I very first left school, one of my first jobs when I was 16.
Yeah.
Well, when you leave school and you're bumming around looking for a job, you don't know what you want to do. You don't know who you are or what you want to be. And I got a job at a travel agent. And my job there at the travel agent was to do one thing, and that was to go and pick up and drop off people's passports to apply for a visa. And then when they got their visa, I would go and pick up the passport with the visa stamp. And I've probably been to every single embassy in London over the 6 or 8 months I was working there doing the job before I got bored and left.
Yeah.
And the two embassies that always stood out in my mind as giving me the jitters the moment I walked through the door was the Iranian embassy and the Libyan embassy. They were horrible places to go into. And it just felt you could smell it, you could feel it.
Sense the evil. You could sense the evil. Yeah. And remember, I mean, obviously the Iranian embassy siege famously, this is the irony of it, is I think that was after the revolution. Yeah. I think it was 79, wasn't it, the revolution? I think the siege happened that year. And the SAS went and rescued a whole lot of people who, if they're still alive, would now be wanting to blow London up. I mean, that's the irony of it all. And of course, then there was Yvonne Fletcher. Remember PC Yvonne Fletcher at the Libyan embassy? Was shot from inside the Libyan embassy.
Yeah,
and I don't think anyone was brought to justice. So this has been going on for so long, Paul, and people just don't realise it's 1,400 years of terror that's been going on, and we're meant to be happy that they've come up with this pathetic definition to act as a landmine for us. What about our protection from the Islamists?
Yeah,
what about
our protection?
What about the protection of the girls? From the grape gangs. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where is that? Where is that?
Let's call it what it is, Richard. The rape gangs.
Well, I was just thinking of your channel, Paul. Like on my channel, I just go full tilt. I'm very respectful of not getting your channel any strikes. I mean, I'm surprised I haven't got you some strikes over the past few weeks. But the rape gangs. I mean, it's absolutely horrendous, and and then you see people in the public eye who we know were associated with I'm not going to name them, but we see people in the public eye, MPs and other very prominent spokesmen who we know were close friends of those rape gangs. Now, I'm not saying for a minute that these people were involved in it. I don't know, but I know they were close friends of people that we know were involved in it. Because we've got the evidence. But it's very dark, Paul. It's a very dark time for our country, and. Yeah.
Marvin says you have been conned by propaganda. You are siding with evil. Rightio, Marvin.
I'd love him to explain that comment, because I'm just scratching my head at that going, how?
Explain that one for us, Marvin.
Yeah, just give us. Come back and give us a. I think he's talking about Israel and America. I'm guessing that's what he's talking about.
Possibly, who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, we're turning into Iran, whilst Iran
Neil,
of the UK of the 1970s.
Neil, absolutely right, and I know I've met Neil. I know Neil, so absolutely right. I think I do. Anyway, I think it's the same guy.
Here's a question: can we claim asylum in the UK? Do you know what? Honestly, I think you could.
Can I be honest with you? Right? Can I be brutally honest with you? Considering what Tommy's facing right now. I don't have any inside information on this, so don't start this as a gossip or a rumour, right?
Richard, you know what they'll do.
I know, Paul. I know. But I'm going to say it anyway. If I was Tommy, I'd be saying, "Can I get asylum here?" Yeah. Because, as sure as night follows day, we know that they're going to try and bang him up, in July or whenever his next trial is, And,
October, yeah.
Oh, it's October. So if I was Tommy, I'd just flip and stay there. I really would. I'd be going, Texas, big stakes, big cars and guns. What's not to like? Do you know what I mean?
Richard, I'll leave you to answer this one, although I
thanks, mate. That
could answer it. How did the Yanks help in the Falklands?
They did. They hindered us and they helped us, as far as I remember. There was a bit of both. It's a long time since I looked at the history of the Falklands War, but they helped us and hindered us. I think it was a bit of a complicated issue.
As far as I'm aware,
go on, Paul. You hit it.
As far as I'm aware, Matt, what it was, I'll tell you what it was, mate. Is that at first, I mean, Reagan was in charge then, I believe.
Yeah, he was, and
it would have been Maggie Thatcher, obviously.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm aware, the Americans had a very good relationship with the Argentinians at the time, being down there in South America. But when push comes to shove, we made some requests from the Americans for some intelligence. And in the beginning, they refused, but very quickly said no. We're good friends with Argentina, we're good friends with the UK, but push comes to shove, we got your back. Is what you want.
Yeah, that's. I just couldn't remember the details of it, Paul. I knew there was it started off a bit cold, and then like you say, they said, they said yes, we'll do what you want to do. I think wasn't there an issue with them?
Dean's saying that they could reach Benidorm for sure. I tell you what, Dean, if you come into Benidorm on a Friday or Saturday night in June or July, it looks like it's been hit by a bomb anyway. Go on, Richard.
I can't follow that, Paul.
There's bodies everywhere.
I can't follow that, Paul. That is such a bad taste joke, mate, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, look, it is. It's crazy what's happening, and I just hope that we can get this sorted. I must admit, I'm weary of everything now, Paul, and I'm just hoping that the whole what we're trying to do on the right somehow comes together in a way that can save the country. Because, when you look at what the left are going to do to us if we don't get them out, that should focus everybody's minds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, if they do, Richard, I think you better get on the first plane out here to Benidorm, mate.
Texas, mate. I've got to Texas.
Yeah.
Guns, steak, and big cars, mate.
Yeah.
I don't know how I pay for my guns, my steak, and my big cars, but I'm sure I could. I don't know. I could.
Rich, you'd have to go on the grift. You'd have to set up
a
GoFundMe or something.
Yeah, set up. Yeah, feed me my Texas
Claire
steak.
Bear, member for 21 months now, and one of the best mods anyone could ever wish for, and also a great friend. Good evening, guys. Will this law affect what posts we can put online on the pledge? We are already having posts removed.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. I would say that they are gonna restrict it.
Nicola, sorry I'm a bit late, Paul. The big movie the year I was born was Rosemary's Baby. I remember that well.
I do too. That is a chiller. That is a chilling movie.
I'm going to guess 1964, 65.
Oh no, later than that, mate. Rosemary's Baby. I think I'm gonna say 1969 for Rosemary's Baby, or even 1970.
I'm saying 64, 65.
Okay.
Let's have a quick.
It's Roman Polanski, wasn't it? It's Roman Polanski.
Rosemary's.
Let's have a look. I'm going to Google it now, mate.
Go on, and you Google it because I'm trying to run the show. And no lying, Richard. If I'm right, I don't want any pork pies, right? If anyone hasn't seen Rosemary's Baby,
don't see it. Don't go and see it.
Film,
Paul, I was the closest, mate. 1968. 1968. Yeah, 1968. Yeah. Okay, yeah. The novel was written in 1967, and the film came out in 1968.
Thank you, June.
Sends shivers down my spine thinking about that. Scary movie.
Turn sideways a minute, Richard.
No.
Just turn sideways like that. Because when you said Roman Polanski in
don't even Baby, go there. Well, he was the director, wasn't he? A little creepy.
Yeah. So the other recommendation, if you want to be scared before you go to bed, watch Rosemary's Baby.
No, don't watch it. Don't watch it. It's horrible film.
If you want just a really cool old-fashioned 1960s British film, cash on demand, starring Peter Cushing, or my other favourite, which I've spoke to many times before, is Jigsaw, which is based in Brighton, starring Dixon Doc Green. What was his name?
Oh, I can't remember, Paul. I can't remember. Come on, help us out in the comments. Who was Dixon Doc Green? I can see his face because
Warner.
That's it, Jack Warner. And do you know what? My granddad was a retired copper, and he looked exactly like Jack Warner.
Yeah.
So
Did, Sharon says it's a weird film. Yes, it was a weird
film. It was evil film. It was really dark. Like, I mean, I watched it once. But, like The Exorcist. I watched The Exorcist once. I watched Rosemary's Babies once. Do you know what I thought that was a real chiller as well? And it wasn't really horrific, but it was psychologically really chilling. Did you ever see Angel Heart with Mickey Rourke?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, no. Mate. Like, similar sort of devil sort of stuff. I don't like all those devil movies. They're not, don't like them. But yeah.
Jill says Rosemary's Baby is not a scary. I think it's creepy. I think it has a real eeriness. It has a genuine eeriness about it.
Yeah, I think so. It's sinister. It's sinister.
It's
not that it's scary. It's sinister. it's like you go away and you just have a sort of, you almost feel dirty after watching it. You know what I mean? It's just sinister.
Yeah. The Exorcist is a film that I only watched once. Do you remember? I remember queuing up. I remember queuing up at the not Hammersmith, Wimbledon. I went to see it with a couple of my mates in Wimbledon, right? And as we was queuing to go in and see the film, the previous audience were coming out, and it's like you were on the left-hand side waiting to go in, and the audience that had just seen the film was passed on the right. And people were coming out saying to us, "Don't go in and watch it. Don't go. Don't watch it. Turn around." Right?
Yeah.
And of course, the more they said that,
because you're a kid, weren't you?
I'm up for this, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, not a good film.
Do you know what? I watched it that night, and I've never watched it since.
Me neither. I watched it once. I was the same. I watched it once. You know, there's just something not right about those films. They kind of, there's something very dark.
Yeah,
very
too
dark.
near to, horrible film.
Yeah, not pleasant.
And that was it, Jack Warner. Yeah, I think we was on a roll back in them days, mate. The next week it was Confessions of a Window Cleaner. So we weren't fussing then. You know, I'm about 14 at the time. I mean, it didn't really matter, did it? You know.
Oh, mate.
I love Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Yeah.
Do you remember those fight movies like Warrior and Wanderers? Do you remember them? Do you remember the gang movies?
I wasn't really into them.
But you know what? Like they come out. I think it was about 1978, 1979. Of course, we were all just getting into our teens then. Do you know what I mean? Or 11, 12. And you watch this gang movie on an old VHS or Betamax video, and then you're all going out thinking thinking you're warriors and wanderers. You know, walking around the estate wanting to fight everybody.
Richard, you still do that now?
I don't want to fight anybody. Not at all, mate. No, I'm a peaceful guy.
Yeah, The Fly was a really gross film. I mean, the only thing is, The Fly is like.
I got a real buzz out of it, Paul.
Yeah, a real buzz. Oh yeah, dear. Paul Walsh stick with Steptoe and Son, not a bad shout, to be fair.
Yeah. I think he's talking about us, mate.
Yeah, probably. Just looking through some of the chat.
You dirty old man.
I watched The Exorcist when I was 10. I mean, that must have been an experience.
You probably need an exorcism after watching it.
Yeah. The other film, The Omen, when that came out. Well, The Omen was filmed in Bishop's Park. And the Bishop's Park is right by Fulham football ground. So it's an area that I know really, really well. I've walked that park 100 times or more. And the church that features in it is also at the bottom of Putney Bridge. And that sort of kind of made it all a bit weird. Because I was then walking past it in the dark on my own. And it was like...
Well, have you ever been in the graveyard near Chelsea football ground?
Never, mate. I don't venture into Chelsea unless I really have to, mate. It's the wrong end of the football.
I was at a trade show years ago, and there was this graveyard between our hotel and the trade show, and it had been in all the horror films. And man, we walked through, because it's middle of winter. You're walking through this graveyard, and it was foggy, and it was just like being in The Exorcist. It was chilling, man. You know.
Yeah. I don't know how we've got on to the subjects of films, but there you go. Rosemary's Baby was filmed in the Dakota building where John Lennon got shot. Is that right?
Well, do you know the Exorcist ones? There was a lot of people died very mysteriously after The Exorcist. And I think I'm right that the wee girl that was in that film, I think she went mad. The wee girl that was the star, I think she ended up having some sort of breakdown. So yeah.
Linda Blair, her name was.
Linda Blair, that's right. I think she had real problems after making that film.
Tony Blair's daughter. Where's the devil?
Well, that's it. Remember the Demon Eyes? Remember the Demon Eyes advert at the Conservative Party? They weren't far wrong, were they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a mate that always used to tell me that Tony Blair was the Antichrist, and I used to say, for goodness sake, Michael, catch yourself on. Tony Blair's not the Antichrist. And now every time he sees me, well, you're not laughing now, Richard.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Dharma. I watched that on Netflix. That was pretty. That was dark.
Well, because that's the thing about Dharma. He was,
that was dark.
he was a real person, wasn't he? It
Yeah.
wasn't sort of fantasy.
Yeah, that was dark. Just looking through the chat, I like a bit of, like trying to lighten things up a little bit.
Yeah, lighten things up, talking about The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, The Omen,
Baby,
really light-hearted stuff. You know what I mean, Paul?
Yeah, thanks, June. I think I've mentioned that one, didn't I? Let's have a look where we get to here. Right, guys, unless we have got anything else that we want to catch up.
Well, if you want to play the last Islamophobia video, it might be worth it, Paul, just to keep people.
Yeah, let's have a little look.
It's the one in the middle there, mate. The one in the middle.
Yeah,
crank that up.
The one in the middle. Yeah.
Teacher, and you're teaching the history of the Muslim conquests. Are you going to take the risk of saying Islam was imposed by the sword? Islam was responsible for massacres that took place here and there and across what became the Muslim world. You're going to be very careful. We often hear, Islam is a religion of peace. This is something that people are fond of saying. Well, actually, it's not a religion of peace. It's a religion which, was imposed by force. Jews know this because they endured the massacre of Khaybar on the Arabian Peninsula in the 7th century. And one of the things that anti-Israel protesters often chant on marches in the United Kingdom is an Arabic chant which translated means, "Remember Jews, the massacre of Khaybar, the Islamic horde is coming for you again." That is something which is chanted, is said, is a frequent occurrence. You have a definition like this and it'll become much harder to criticize.
Absolutely. Guys, as it says at the bottom of the screen there, I'd really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up. I wish you could give me 2, but you can't. You can only give me 1.
But what they can do, Paul, they can subscribe to Counter Media as well.
Yeah. They can. I wouldn't advise it, but they can.
You're a dog.
No, absolutely. Get over to Richard's channel, Counter Media, and Richard Inman. Drop him a sub. You could do with a little
Don't worry about Richard Inman. Just go to Counter Media. Go to Counter Media. We'll not worry about Richard Inman. We'll get on Counter Media. In fact, if you're on Richard Inman, get across to Counter Media.
Are you going to go live then, Richard? After you finish?
Oh no, I'm not going live. No, I'm not going live tonight. No, mate, you've worn me out. You've worn me out. Talk about all the. It was some really cheerful stuff. The horror movie that is Islam taking over the UK, and then real horror movies, mate.
Yeah. Just a quick one. Lubna did message me the day before yesterday. Actually, I was expecting a call from her yesterday, but it didn't come. I'll try and give her a call tomorrow. I don't blame the girl for walking away. She has tried to give a lot to the community and to the movement in many respects, and has been,
I agree,
targeted. And probably, if I'm honest with you, I'm very disappointed with the reaction of some people, the way they've been with Lubna over the last couple of weeks.
I agree.
Absolutely vile. And she must be feeling quite betrayed, I would imagine, because some of the very people that she tried to stand up for have turned on her. And I think that's cowardly, and I think it's wrong, and I just think it's vile, quite honestly.
I agree with Paul, 100%.
But she's 100%. A strong girl, please God, she'll be okay. She's got 2 lovely kids to look after. But she's going to struggle because she's going to find herself, it's hard now for her to get a job. Where's she going to get a job now?
Hopefully she'll come back to this, because I think she's got a very important voice, and she's very intelligent. She's very articulate, and she's got a niche there that nobody else has really got, Paul. So I think it would be great to see her come back. And I think, it's like anything. When the pressure's on, sometimes you just go, do you know what? I've had enough. I'm done, and you walk away. And then that's why I never say I'm going to walk away. I might feel like walking away, but then after a couple of days, you go, do you know what? No, I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep fighting. But once you've said you're going to walk away, it's more difficult to come back, isn't it? But
yeah, I tell you what I do. What I try and do, Richard, is when I get a bit peed off, I try and have a break for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Just put everything out of my mind. There's been times when I've kind of threatened it or hinted at it, and I've genuinely. There has been 1 or 2 occasions when I've genuinely thought about it. But things change on YouTube. Look, what we got now, views on my channel are down dramatically. And I know for a fact that views on a lot of Patriots channels are down dramatically. But it's not because necessarily people are not listening to what we got to say. It's because there's now so much choice.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing.
Which is great.
I'm
Absolutely.
so pleased. I'm so pleased. I watched the channel today that I've never seen before. Lovely guy. Very few. I think he had a couple of 100 subscribers, but was talking a lot of sense. I thought, good on you, man. You do it. Go for it. You know.
Do you know who's good, Paul? That guy. He was on Liam Tuff's. Not Graham Moore. The other guy, the guy with the beard and the glasses. He used to be a chippy.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what his channel's called, but he's really good.
Bruce.
Yeah. Bruce Almighty, is it? Bruce Almighty, is that it? That's what
Bruce Unfiltered, I think.
Bruce Unfiltered, right? Okay, Bruce Unfiltered. Yeah, Bruce Almighty is that film in it? But I think Bruce is really good. You know, I really like his stuff, and it's very balanced. And it's very calm and very, very measured. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, at the end of the day, it's good that these people are, sharing the love and the viewers, that is. And we just got to keep on talking, keep on fighting, doing our thing, being there for our viewers.
Yeah.
And that's all we can do.
I tell you what, Paul, right? See, when your back's against the wall, you find out who the good people are in your viewers. Because the amount of people you get, and I'm sure you've had it as well when you've been, going through stuff that you've gone through, and I've gone stuff through that I've gone through. We're there for the viewers, but you know what, mate? The viewers are there for us as well. And we share a lot of viewers because obviously a lot of people came to me and vice versa came to you. So and there's some really, really absolute diamonds there. And and again, I just want to say, actually, if anyone is of a praying sort, pray for Bess. She's going in for operation. I think she goes in tomorrow. I think the operation's on Thursday.
Bess.
Pray for her. She's a great, great lady. She's been very, very helpful to me on my channels. And Bess will be praying for you. We'll be rooting for you. And she's a good Ulster woman, good strong Ulster woman. So let's reconvene, Bess, in a couple of weeks, and we wish you the best.
Right, guys. I mean, I'll leave you on something, really, really shocking tonight. I think. Never mind The Exorcist.
Oh, for goodness sake!
Never mind The Exorcist.
Roman Polanski's love child.
Right, guys. Good night, all. God bless, and we will definitely, hopefully, God willing, at least see you soon. Take care, everyone. See you later.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye, Rich. Bye, bye.
See you, mate.